back with another step-by-step tutorial, and today we're going to tackle the Foxy theme homepage. And the Foxy theme is a theme that's created by Elegant Themes. Elegant Themes is a subscription base, but Foxy theme is particularly my favorite when it comes to creating static websites for churches or business or anything like that. And the reason why I like the Foxy theme is it's so easy for you to use once you kind of learn how to navigate it. So that's our goal today, is to kind of teach you how you can make some changes to it, how you add your logo and add your menu and the different slider functions and all of those kind of things so that you can set up your own page. So the first thing we're going to do is introduce you to the different components to the home page. And the first one is the header area right here. The second one is the tagline, which is the text right underneath it. And then you have your main navigation menu. Now, these three areas up here are considered kind of the header area, and they're actually on every single page that's on your site. Then there's the featured slider area, and this is a great place to put different events that you want to broadcast and let people know about. And the featured slider will automatically scan as long as somebody doesn't have their mouse over it like I do. And they can also flip through the different pages by clicking on it as well. And it's just a great way to highlight kind of specific events or pages that you think first-time visitors might want to see. Below the featured slider is a call to action area and some different pages that you can hit. So there's actually three different kind of featured pages on this website. And I've used the About page, the Ministries page, and then this week's highlight. And as you can see, you can populate it with either text or videos or buttons, anything you really want to. And I'll kind of explain some of that as well. There's this call to action that I mentioned here as well. And this is just a tagline that you can get people a little bit more interested as they scroll down. So I usually like to do something like, want to learn about our church or your business, start here, and then they can click there with kind of an intro page. Below it, the Foxy, it can have an e-commerce section with different products. So if you're a nonprofit or a business and you want to sell stuff, it can also be there as well. I don't use that in this particular example, but there are some great ways that you can highlight different pages here as well at the bottom and put in a testimony of the way that people have liked your business, or in this particular situation, the church has used the kind of testimony box as a first-time attender letter by the pastor. And then the final area is the footer area. And you'll see that there's three different areas here. The footer is, again, on just like the header on every single page of your website. And so I like to put the map, information about your church, and upcoming events there because I think it's pretty important. So let's talk about how we can modify these different pages. I'll assume that you've installed the theme already and that you know how to log into WordPress, and I'll assume that you've already had that done. So to modify your logo, you need to go to Appearance and you need to click on Foxy Themes. It is down here there. Now, that will bring up the E panel, which is kind of Elegant Themes' main way to change everything. It's kind of their internal framework that they have to modify things. And this is actually something that you'll see on all of their newer themes. And so once you kind of get used to it, it's pretty easy to navigate. To add your logo, you need to click on the General tab there in General Settings here and click here to upload an image. Now, you can select files this way by just clicking on one and hitting choose and saving it, or you can add it by media as well. I've already added this, so I'm not going to go through all the steps there, but it's pretty easy to do. Basically, if you would get here, want to do it, you would use the full-size image, click for Use for Logo, and that would be it. And then the other thing that you also need to do every time to make sure that you do is come down here and click the Save button. So that's how you update the logo. It's right here in the general settings, and the logo, you can't miss it. To do the tagline, which is these little words here on the home page, you need to click on the dashboard and click in Settings and General. The tagline is something that's part of WordPress, and it's actually something that will appear in some search engines and those kind of things. So it's great to put your church name or your business name as the site title, and then a tagline, a call to action, or some information that you want people to know about here in the tagline. For churches, I usually like to add the Join Us for Worship this Sunday at 11 a.m. or whatever time you meet, and you can definitely do that. So that is where you type that in. Just type it, modify it in right here in this little area here, and once again, come down and click that great little Save Changes button right there. And that's it. Once you've saved it, then you can see that the tagline is there. Now the main menu, there's a couple of different ways that you can actually use the main menu in the different elegant themes, and Foxy is definitely one of them. Right now on this particular example, I've created it via the ePanel. So we'll go back to Appearance and down here to the Foxy theme options, and you'll notice the navigation area. Now, if you want to create the menu structure based on this kind of navigation area or the Foxy theme, what you do is you highlight and you click on these and the different boxes that in different pages that you want to show. So everything that you click on here that is green will appear on that menu. Everything that you don't like, the Looking for a Presbyterian Church, which is in red, is a page that you don't necessarily want to appear in there. Even visitors, you'll see that's a mobile visitors page, so it's there. So to kind of change it, if you just click on it, you'll notice it'll either be the green or the X. And once you have all the pages that you want, then come down here and click on Save. Also, if you want the home page to automatically appear on that list, click here and you can either enable or disable it. Also, if you want to have drop-down menus, you can click that here. Now, the drop-down menu structure is based on how you have parent or home pages. So for an example, I have ministries as a parent page, and children, early teen, high school, life group, all of those are different parent pages of this. Now, I'll show you how that is in the pages here. I'll just click on the ministries and you can see the drop down there. There's all the different children's one or the different children pages. And so if I were to edit this page, and you can click there on the edit since you're logged in, you'll notice that I have the parent page here, which is ministries. This is the children's page. And then I also have down here the order, and the order that you have there, the number that you have is the number that they will appear in this area. Now in this particular one, children's is the top one, so even though it's 2, it still is there. So that gives you kind of an idea of the way that things work. So the next page that we're going to go to here, that's one of the ways that you can create your menu. The way that I've started to do instead, however, is to actually create menus. And the way that you do that is to go to the dashboard again, click on Appearance here, and click on Menus. Now, the reason why I'm particularly starting to like that rather than what I've shown you here is that it's just easier. You can create new pages. You don't have to click on the structure of them. Also, if you have one that you want to be tied but not necessarily to follow all the different structure patterns, or if you want to change it to where it's a child of 1 and then, well, maybe it doesn't work there, I'll try it in the about instead of maybe about the teachings or something like that. You can more easily change everything and not change all your links if you create a menu for it. So to create a menu is pretty simple. You click here on the create a new menu and we'll create one for you right now. I'm going to call it main menu since that is what it will be, and I will create the menu. And then literally all you have to do is come over here and click on every page that you want to add. And so you can see that the way that they have things here is they have all of these listed here. These are kind of the different menus that we've had. So I'll quickly just click on all the ones that I would like to add. You can tell that they have a lot of different ministries in this church. Keep on clicking. Get everything that you want to include there. And once you have that, you can click on the Add to menu. So it takes a little bit to do that. Now, the one thing about this is it will add it all in a single structure. So if we did it this way, all of these pages would appear in a big line, but we don't want that. We want to create the same kind of submenu structure. And the way that you do it is you just drag the menu over until it's indented there. And you see this here. Now, all of these ones that are indented under the About page will appear as a drop-down menu. We'll quickly do that here. You see, it's really simple. Now, if you actually wanted to create 3 tiers, you could do another one, but that's not what we want. So we'll just do it this way, and you can see all of these here. Again, I'm showing you, I know that this might be belaboring the point a little bit, but I just want to prove to you just how easy it is to create this. So for this particular one, they like to have their beliefs, and under beliefs, they have 3 other kind of sub pages. So you'll notice that I actually do that here. And then we'll go here, drag all of these over. Sometimes there's sticklers. It's okay. Just drag it till you get it to the way that you want it. And now we are done. So the next thing that you have to do is click it on it as the primary menu. This will make it the main navigation menu that I talked to you on the home page and all your pages. And once that's done, now you can see that this is the new menu structure for your site, which is great. So it looks very similar to the other way. It's just a slightly different way of going about it. Again, this has become my preferred method. And the reason is it gives you a little bit more flexibility and makes things easier to change, especially I think with the slider. So the next thing that we're going to look at is the slider. Now the slider is great. It's actually modified in two different places. So the first thing that you need to learn how to modify is what pages appear in the slider. In order to do that, again, you click on Appearance and Foxy Themes. You go to the ePanel, which is kind of your home page for changing everything in the Foxy kind of area. It's their general framework, and click on Home Page. Now for me, I've created all my pages, my whole website via pages, not posts. And so I definitely want to do that. Now, to click on the featured slider, which is what appears in the home page, you want to have these settings. You'll notice if you also create it with pages, you'll notice that this is displayed feature slider is enabled. I do want it to appear in there. However, I don't want the duplicate featured articles. If you would have one in, say, the different featured pages, then if you put it in the slider, it wouldn't appear. I might want to have both of them there, so I keep it disabled. The other thing is the number of slides you can ignore if it's a featured post. And what you need to have if you're creating a website via pages, which is what I have, is to click this to be enabled. This will actually kind of disengage these three areas here, but this is what you want. And then the pages that you want included in the featured slider, you do the same thing like you do with the menu structure. You click right next to them until you get a checkbox, and you check all the ones that you would like. You can see that we want children's, serve, morning service, service archive, worship, visitors, etc. And then you also want it to be animated. I prefer that, so you keep that enabled. They have a pretty good animation speed of 7,000 per milliseconds or whatever it is. If you want to make it shorter or bigger, you can change the number there, and then make sure you click save. So once you have all the pages that you want highlighted, hit save. Now this section here changes the images and the pages that will be featured, but it doesn't actually create the text. To do that, you need to go to the actual pages. Now, you'll notice that we have the children's page and the serve page and the morning services. So I'm just going to go back to the one of those pages and open it up and show it to you. So you'll see that right here. You want to learn more about Sunny Slope CRC. We'll click on the welcome. Now, this is a page that's actually created for guests. So in order to have this as a page that you can use, and to modify, it's pretty simple. The image that you use in the slider is the featured image. And so to add an image, you just click on this and click on your media library, and you'll notice that one pops up. And so you can click on that and add one. Now, the size that they recommend for your image is 960 by 295. I'll give you a different video tutorial on how you can trim that via WordPress, but that's what you need to know for now. If you know photo software, you can definitely create a thing and drop different images with text, like I have here with the welcome. So you click on the image that you'd like, click it as the set featured image, and that's the image that will appear on the bottom of the slider. To change the different titles and those kind of things is pretty simple. What you need to do is scroll down here to the ET settings, and I can ignore that. And the slide title here is what you want. So you'll notice here that I have want to learn more about Sunny Slope CRC. And the slide description says scroll down here to learn more about us, and then that's it. Once you have those things there, click update. The slide title is the big text, and the slide description is the small text. And again, the featured image is the image underneath this. And we are on the page that you have highlighted. So we have the visitors page, which is what we want. Now, the order that it's going to go by in there is the order here, which is why I recommended you use the menus as well. The menu of the slider goes by the menu of the number there. So that's one of the reasons why you could use menu, but it's also the way that you get the home slider to show the way that you want. So let's visit the site again, and I'll just show you. So you notice here, want to learn more about Sunny Slope CRC, scroll down and welcome. So that's the way that you kind of populate that. If you click here, this is the Book of Mark. If you click here and click edit page, you'll see again, here's the featured image. You'll see the image of the cross and the hand, and you'll notice that this is the big text on the screen and the little text there. And once you have all that stuff uploaded there, you can click update. So that's the pretty simple way to update the featured slider. Now, the next component of the home page that we're going to look at is kind of the page content or the featured page area, whatever you want to kind of think of it as. And you'll notice that there's 3 columns here. Now, these are automatically populated through the dashboard and through the ePanel section. So we'll go back here again to ePanel, and we'll go to the Foxy theme options, and we will click here. Now, this appears via the home page. Now, you want the display content areas enabled. Those are the areas that you see there. And you see the display pages in the tabbed areas. You want that as well. But the content area is really what we're focusing on here. So make sure that this display content area is enabled, and come down here and you'll see the 3 columns: content area page 1 page, content area 2 page, and content area 3 page. Now, this information that you see on this page right here is, again, you'll see about, ministries, and this week's highlights. Those are the 3 pages that we did. So if you want to change that, you can click on any different page and that will automatically happen. Now, that's great, but how do you actually get the words that you want to appear in this section? Well, again, you control the content that appears via the ePanel. What pages show up in this list is through the ePanel, like I showed you, but the content itself is on the pages. So the way that I like to do this is to click on that page and click on the edit page. And the way that the stuff is populated, what appears in that list is actually in this excerpt area. Now, there's some mumble jumble in here, but what you'll notice is that this is paragraph stuff and different things like this. And this is a short code for button, which is a little bit tricky, but you can definitely Google it to learn how to do that, to learn more, but I like to add it. And so anything that you type in here is what appears here. So you'll notice welcome to Sunny Slope and this learn more button that I've created. I use the black. I'm using the I have the developers or professional edition, and you can easily click these buttons here, which is an easy way to do that. One easy way, if you want to just cut and paste stuff, is to type your stuff in here, Sunny Slope, whatever, and then click this where you can add the buttons, which I do like to do here. Black, make sure you set the link, which is whatever you'd want to do. To me, I like to have the pages open to where I can easily do whatever I want to kind of show what that will be. And so if I want that page, I'll come over here and click on that. I want it to open up to this page, the about page. And so I'd click that, type in my title here, which is learn more, and hit OK. Now, the reason why I do that is, you see, it's pretty easy to do it here and then take this text right here and cut it, get rid of the changes that I made, and then come down here and paste it. It sure is a whole lot easier to do it this way than to try and remember what this button link is or anything like that. So that's one little tip I'll give you. And once you have all this stuff done and all the changes in the wording that you want, you can definitely hit update, which is the most important thing there. What I like about this using the excerpt option is that you can make this text different here than what's on the page. If you don't have anything in the excerpt area, the way that it populates it is by just taking the amount of text that you have, and you can click on this little button here, which is more. But again, I don't recommend that just because it seems like what you want on the page is different than that home page. So I highly recommend that you use the excerpt instead. So you do that for the different pages that you've put in that ePanel, and you do each one, and it will turn out the way that you want it to. So there you go. That is how you do the different page areas. Again, just repeat the process. Now, I will show you before I move on that you can even how you can cut in iframes and those kind of things. So you'll notice that this is the text right here that I have for the sermon. And this was an example of one where I don't use the excerpt, but rather use this. So if you come down here, you can see that the excerpt area is blank. So this is actually populated from this area here. Now, because I have it in columns with half or quarter half, you can see that I have the more button here as well. It will read this, watch our sermon. This is the YouTube channel. It's actually the YouTube channel that I'm using from the widget, and the video is showing there that automatically updates, and it's a bulletin as well. You can click here with the button as well as I showed you, and more. So you'll notice that this is an example of not using it in the excerpt, but rather just picking up what I want from the page. And that's because I've created that page in a way that works. So those are the two different ways that you can update the different call to action, or the content area pages there. Now the next area is this call to action page, and the way that we modify that is, you guessed it, going to the appearance, Foxy themes, which will bring up the ePanel, and click on the home page. Now, if you don't want the call out to be enabled, that's fine. You can enable it or disable it here. You can see I'm a little bit down on that home tab of the general settings. But the way that you actually change the different call out is, if you want to add a URL, you type in the URL you want. You see I got HTTP, and I'm using a local host here with this. And then this is where you type in the text. And once you get that, want to learn more about Sunny Slope CRC, that's where you click. And then right here is the button, Start Here. Once you have everything the way that you want, click Save. And so I'll just show you again how that appears. So the URL is what is attached to here. They click on it. Start Here is that text there in the button. And this is the text that you want the call to action to be. So it really is that simple. Call out URL, call out text, and call out button, Start Here. The cool thing about that is you can modify it, change it, and make it whatever you want. So we're getting down to the end here. Thanks for hanging with us. I know this is a little bit longer video, but we're trying to get everything we can in there. So the next area is this tabbed area of websites. And what I like about this is you can highlight different aspects of it so that people, if they are scrolling down, they don't necessarily have to click on the different pages. So these are just some pages that they think are pretty important: the morning series, the worship, and the evening series. Now, you guessed it, the way that you adjust the different pages that appear there is in the ePanel. And so you go there, again, Foxy themes options, home page, click down here, and you will find the include pages in the tabbed areas. And so you can see it's the exact same format that we've used with other stuff, just in a slightly different area. The ones with the check marks that are green will appear there. You'll see evening series, morning series, and worship, and those that aren't will not appear there. And just like everything else, the featured slider, the content pages, everything else, if you want to modify what is actually shown in those boxes, you have to go to the actual pages. So we will do that here, and we will click on here for the click here to learn more, and we'll go to the pages. So we will edit that page. So same way, this area is actually created the exact same way as the call out areas. And the way that you add the content in there is through the excerpt. Again, what I love about Foxy theme and about Elegant themes is they just kind of make things redundant. And so you kind of get used to it. Maybe a little bit intimidating at first, but once you learn, the content of the homepage is on the ePanel, and the content of what appears in that is in the pages. So again, it's the pages or that you want to appear in the home page and that are featured in there. You go through the ePanel, and the content that you want of those pages is in the pages themselves. So in this example, I have the image. You'll see that there. That's HTML, and I have a little blurb there, and I've created that call to action button just like I've shown you before. And I would recommend you do the same thing, that you come up here and that you type in the information, you add whatever you want, cut and paste it into here, just like I showed you with the pages. And that's just the easiest way to do that. Once you click on update, then that content will be there. So you just repeat that for different times, and I'll show you just how that works. The worship one, we've created slightly different content in there. And so if you want to see how that's done, we can click here and go to the worship page. I don't have the button on that one. And so to edit the page, you can come here. Now, this excerpt again is empty because they wanted all the different pages. So again, if you have nothing, it will put everything up into the spot of until there's this more. So everything on that home page is here all the way to this more section here, which is this little tab right there. So that just shows you again, just like the featured content page and the different highlighted web page, all those can be populated either through the excerpt here or through the actual content of the page too. Once you have what you want, click update and away you go. Now, the last kind of component that we're going to look at here is the testimony section here. And the easiest way to do this is to once again go to the dashboard, and this time you need to click on testimonies. Now, what will happen is it will rotate different testimonies if you want it. And so what you need to do is, I recommend you have 1 or 2 testimonies. You don't need a ton of them, but come here and create a testimony. Now you'll see first time attender. You'll see this. You'll notice the photo down here is the photo that you see in the little blurb underneath it. So you want a square photo of about 150 by 150, I think is what they recommend. And so you add that image there. Pastor Rob Tornstra is his name, and that will appear at the bottom of the testimony. So here you can see is his letter, dear first time attender, we look, blah, blah, blah. We look forward to seeing you. And then if you look at the way that this populates on the page, you'll see here's his name. Right there, here's his picture in a nice cool circle. You'll notice that this is the image that was square, but they put some kind of formatting around it. And here is the actual content of his letter. So it's a really handy way to do this. And again, you can have multiple different testimonies that will rotate through if you put in most of them. But if you have this area that you want to use, it's a great way for people to kind of know that that's happening and know who suggests and recommends you. And so if you want to include this section, you click here and make sure that this display testimonials is enabled. Also, you can see here too, the displayed pages and tabbed area has to be enabled too, which is the section that we just talked about. So again, you'll notice that here you can see everything is enabled other than I don't have the products. And like I said earlier, you could do products, but most churches, business, and nonprofits that I work with don't. So we won't handle this in the tutorial. So that's kind of the main homepage stuff. And while we're here, I'll just show you also how to modify the footer. Again, the footer is not is something that's on every page, and so it's actually in a different place. It's populated through the appearance and the widgets. And so what you'll notice here are footer areas 1, 2, and 3, and that's how you create the content. I have a Google Maps widget that I like to use there, and so I've drugged that in. You can see that this is text that I've drug in, and also you can see that I use the calendar widget that they're using. Now you can add more things in there. You can just drag another one in there and add that, but that's how you do it. Just drag whatever you want here, make changes here, hit save, and all those things will automatically be modified. I don't really want to do that, so I'm going to get rid of it. So again, this is how you modify the Foxy homepage, and I'm glad that you stuck with me. That's all the different components, and if you do want to modify or customize the different color schemes that you can do, that is the last thing that I'll show you before we move on, and that is by clicking here. I'll do that again. I did that pretty fast. If you click on the appearance and themes, this will bring up this menu here, and click on the customize next to Foxy. What you'll notice is this area right here is where you can modify all the different colors on your website. So the link color is the text, the background color is this area right here, the main font color is this right here, the slider background is this right there, and the slider shade just adds a little bit of depth to it, so it's the stuff kind of in that area. And then the tab background is a little bit of right there, that's the widget progress bar is that area right there, and also the tab content is this right here. So I choose colors that are pretty similar to each other or not. Now there's a couple different ways that you can do it. You can look here and you can actually click on those different boxes there, or you can add the HTML that way too. Definitely check out our tips on how to create colors and choose colors on churchwp.net if you want help with that. But that's an introduction to the Foxy homepage. Thanks for sticking with us for 30 minutes, and hopefully this will help you to learn how to set up your Foxy theme, or even if you want to buy it. And if you haven't bought it, please check out our website, churchwp.net, and click on the affiliate link and just help us out. It's a way for you to support us if this video was helpful. So I appreciate your time, and thanks again.